What's going on, everyone? So there's a lot of talk about the Denver Nuggets potentially trading Michael Porter Jr. Names linked to the Denver Nuggets are Brandon Ingram, Zach Lavine, Jimmy Butler. The Denver Nuggets are kind of looked at as like a dark horse to sign Jimmy Butler. And I've seen a lot of narrative, seen a lot of conversation about like, man, but if they get Michael Porter Jr., they have to replace him with a guy that gives you similar production. You need that shooting. You need this, that, and the other, right? How will they play if they do? But that's the point, right? Like, if they trade Michael Porter Jr., they're not going to play the same style in which they're playing right now with Michael Porter Jr. The point is to be more dynamic and have more versatility out there and have another guy that can create for himself and not be so reliant on a Jamal Murray, on a Jokic, right? Getting a guy like Zach Lavine, for example, would make Denver terrifying. Right? And look, this is coming from a Laker fan that wants Denver to be as bad as humanly possible because we can't beat them to save our lives. But the reality is that trading Michael Porter Jr. would make Denver better. Because, again, Zach Lavine's just the better overall player, better natural scorer, better shot creator. He's better at making plays for others, right? The guy gives you a completely different look. See people talking about the size, right? Lack of size. You have Jokic. You have the biggest guy in the league on your roster, right? I'm not talking about height. I'm talking about like full package, right? Zach Edey definitely gives him, but Zach Edey's nowhere near the skill level in which Jokic is. I mean, you had Rudy Gobert, a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, and Karl Anthony Towns, another 7-footer who actually defended Jokic better than Rudy Gobert. But you had basically 2 7-footers and the best defensive team in the league going up against Jokic, and Denver still should have won that series. Jokic averaged 30, 11, and 8. 30, 11, and 8 against the 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, arguably the best center equipped to try to slow down Jokic, and you did nothing of the sort. And had 2 centers to try to do it, and then came in with like a Naz Reid. Again, best defensive team in the league last year. And Denver beats Minnesota if anyone shows up. Denver was up 20, and they didn't lose that series because of Jokic. They lost that series because Jamal Murray is not the same. The days of Jamal Murray, going toe-to-toe with Donovan Mitchell and both dropping 50 in a playoff game, those days are long gone, right? Michael Porter Jr., he was so bad in that Denver series, Mike Malone had to do a press conference, essentially trying to save face for Michael Porter Jr., how like, oh, we don't even beat the Lakers if it's not for him, right? So like, it was bad. It's a disaster, and it's not looking better. Denver's having their struggles. They're having their issues. They made mistakes by letting multiple guys go, including KCP this past offseason. They replaced them with Russell Westbrook, who's actually been good for them, but still, like, that wasn't ideal. And it's just like, people are like, oh, well, you have to have shooting. Denver is like 3rd worst in the league or something like that. I think they might be dead last by now in 3-point attempts. They're not taking many threes, period, even with Michael Porter Jr., and they're still a top 5 offense. Why? Because everything orbits around Jokic right now, and you have a lot of just like attack through that, like the inside out game, because you got Jokic, right? You had a guy like a Zach Lavine, like a Brandon Ingram, like a Jimmy Butler, right? You're more dynamic. You can run more actions. You can run more sets. You're not so Jokic, dependent. You have another guy when Jamal Murray is having a rough game and just can't get it together, right? Can't beat guys off the dribble, can't create for himself. It's fine. Give the ball to a Lavine, give the ball to an Ingram, give the ball to a Jimmy. And now you can go and make plays, and he can take over and he can beat guys off the dribble, and he can be that guy on any given night, right? Like, it's the overall ceiling raise for a team like Denver, especially somebody like Zach Lavine. I like Zach Lavine more than everyone else, right? As far as trades, because he's the best off the ball, volume 3-point shooting, you get it, on efficiency. He'd be the best just pure scorer on Denver, right? Like, the guy is an insane athlete and explosive. Him and Aaron Gordon slotted alongside Jokic in transition and fast break. Oh my goodness, stop it, right? And Jokic just on the block, being able to wheel and deal and just throw it up. And Zach Lavine's going to go up there and get it, right? Jokic likes to do those, the touchdown passes. You have Zach Lavine running full speed with his athleticism, his bounce, right? Like, and that's not to mention, again, like the different actions and sets that you can run. because you're like, Denver is predictable. You know what Denver's game style is. Problem is, Denver, when they're on, doesn't matter, right? You know what they're trying to do. You know what they want to do. You know what Michael Porter Jr. is trying to do. He's 2 dribbles and a pull-up, right? He's trying to just get the shot off as quickly as possible as soon as he catches and shoots, right? It's predictable. Thing is, Michael Porter Jr., when he's cooking and he's on, doesn't matter how predictable he is. He's 6'10" and just absolute money, right? Denver is just so good offensively, and Jokic, right? Like that's what makes greats great, right? It's like, you know what I want to do, you know what I'm trying to do, and I'm just going to do it anyway, right? That's what makes Denver so good, is that their ability to do so, right? But you add a guy like Zach Lavine, now you're unpredictable. Because now, I don't know, Zach Lavine can do so many more things. I don't know is Zach Lavine just going to stand in the corner all day and shoot threes? Probably not. So is he going to be more on ball? Is he going to be more off ball tonight? Right? Like, how are you going to scheme him tonight? Right? Okay, well, we can't, if Zach's cooking, we can't double team him because you got Jokic and Jamal and all that. Like, it opens and unlocks so much more for a team like Denver. Look at them when they won the championship, right? You had guys like Bruce Brown, who, yes, he's not this great three-point shooter, but excellent screener, excellent roll guy, right? Get to the basket, apply rim pressure. Jokic, dump it down to him as a cutter. He can move without the basketball. And you had that guy, another shot creator, another guy that could go and create for others, right? Gave you some defense. Zach Lavine can provide and give you all those things, just at a much higher level. He's a better shooter, better scorer than he is, but he gives you more athleticism, better foot speed, better slasher and cutter, right? Like, operate in the mid-range, more than 2 dribbles in a pull-up, can shoot over the top, right? Like, can drive and get to the basket, get to the lane. Whatever you want from him, he can do it and put it together for you, right? He got an absolute bag, an entire arsenal, right? Like, you're not worried about what Zach Lavine brings to the table. And that's what it is, right? Like, Denver wants, they're not going to be the same Denver if they go and do that. A lot of people are like, oh, but they'll get worse because, Michael Porter Jr. is so good. Well, he hasn't been, for one. And two, again, you get more dynamic. People worry about the size, like, oh, they'd be smaller. Like, Denver's going to be fine. Aaron Gordon and Nikola Jokic in the front court is big enough, right? And then Zach Lavine isn't like 6'1". He's like, what, 6'6", 6'5", right? 6'5", 6'6". You got Christian Brown, who's basically the same, he's what, 6'5", Jamal Murray. You're fine, right? I'm not worried about that, especially if you're Denver. Denver doesn't seem to be worried about that. Now, like a Brandon Ingram, still gives you all the same stuff. I just like Zach Lavine. Zach Lavine's just better off ball, right? He's just a better 3-point shooter, and he's just got more athleticism. Brandon Ingram gives you a lot of the same things. He's closer to like what you'd get with. He's Michael Porter Jr. like size and length wise, so he gives you that length and that defensive versatility, and just kind of the mismatches in that area. But just a better shot creator, shot maker, scorer, natural scorer again, who can still make plays, still help rebound. Ingram can be a 23, 5, and 5 guy, be your second best player on any given night, be your best player on some nights, right? Like, that's what you'd be looking for with him. I don't hate the idea of Ingram on Denver. Again, if you're Denver, you probably want Zach Lavine more. And if you're Denver, you don't care. Like, people are like, oh, but Zach Lavine, like, you're stuck. Okay, they're kind of stuck now, right? Like, you got to pick a lane here. You're either hitting the reset button and you're kind of retooling and maybe take a year or so to do so, or you're trying to make the move now, right? And Zach Lavine healthy, you're probably winning a championship. Like, who's beating you at that point, right? Like, Denver could win a championship right now, and they're struggling this year. Imagine if you went and got somebody as dynamic as Zach Lavine and the season he's having and the efficiency and all that. Like, again, good luck, right? Good luck. It's crazy to me how good and dynamic they would be, right? Literally, the only thing that'd be stopping them would be health, in my opinion. They would be so tough on the offensive side. Defensively, you're probably still just as good. Zach Lavine every year is either at or around league average defensively. I think you're fine. But that's the point. Just kind of wanted to talk on some points that I've seen people make about like, oh, but if you trade Michael Porter Jr., then they're not going to be the same team. It's like, well, yeah, they'll be better. They'll be more dynamic because they'll have another shot creator, another shot maker. You obviously want somebody that can adjust and fit off ball, especially with Jokic and Jamal Murray, which is why I like Zach Lavine. Because Zach Lavine, he's a threat off ball as much as he is on ball. Where Ingram, you're not really as worried about. Jimmy Butler, you're not really as worried about. So to me, Zach Lavine would be ideal for them. But how do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are. I'd love to hear it either way, so let me know down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you like the idea of Zach Lavine, Brandon Ingram, Jimmy Butler? Do you think no, stay the course, just stay pat, trim around the edges, so to speak? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.